Okay, so my paper is a brief chronological study of image making of Taege Yi Hwang, who is arguably considered the most prominent Confucian scholar in Korea. In broader context, it investigates how historical memory constructed cultural force in Korea from the late 16th century to the 1970s. I particularly try to make sense of the honoring process of Taege during the Park regime. Notably, many aspects of the modern image of Taege emerged during the several years before and after the onset of the Yushin era. The collection of Taege's writings was translated into Korean in 1968. In 1969, Park ordered and directed the restoration of the Tosan Academy, which had been the academic center of the Taege's intellectual heirs. In 1970, a committee for celebrating the first centennial of Taege's passing was established, and his statue was erected in front of the Namsan Library in Seoul and unveiled by Park himself. In 1973, the Journal of Taege Studies began publication, which continues to this day. In 1975, Taege began to appear on the 1001 banknote. The Park regime claimed that the government supported these projects to promote the national spirit, which had been forgotten and denigrated during the rapid modernization of Korean society. In regard to the rise of the Taege studies in this period, I'll make 3 points in this presentation. First, challenging the common notion of modern invention of Taege's image, I'll demonstrate that Taege's charismatic authority has evolved historically and delivered diverse cultural and political connotations in disparate contexts since the late 16th century. I'll particularly emphasize that the textual inscription of Taege's words and deeds and its reproduction functioned as the main mechanism of his charisma. Second, I'll argue that Park regime honored Taege as an antidote to the resistant and subversive urban popular culture dominated by young population. Lastly, I'll show that the process of honoring Taege by the Park regime strikingly resembled the Japanese imperialist appropriation of him to justify their assimilation policy. While focusing on Taege's neo-Confucian theories, this colonial pattern of honoring Taege made his image lofty, but dehumanized, therefore distant from the general public. Likewise, the Taege studies developed under the Park regime displaced the popular base of Taege's legacy and reduced the discourse about him to a narrow academic field dominated by a few intellectuals.